Hello, hello to all my fabulous change makers. And here we are at the end of another week with some amazing interviews of change makers from all over the world. And today we have the joy of having somebody join us from Sacramento in California. And we have the lovely Luana with us. Luana, please say hello and tell people a little bit about what you do.
Well, hello, everyone. I work with women in teaching. I always say teaching, but actually, I'm guiding them because people already have that information within them. They just need someone to show them the way. I like to help women who are feeling lost, who thinks it's too late, who have all these doubts and fears within them. And I help them to bring those things out. Because you know what's the greatest failure in the world is
What is
never even starting. It's letting those doubts and fears take control of you. And so I
it?
help you to find those things, recognize them, and push them aside so that you can step forward and do the thing that you truly want to do.
I love that. That reminds me of Les Brown when he says the richest place in the world is the graveyard because people take too many of their gifts with them. We
Yes,
need
they
you.
do.
We
They
need
do.
you. Good deal. Well, I would love to hear a little bit more. Do you have an example of how you've worked with somebody that you've been able to help in the past?
Well, my really big success story, I have to share this one with you. It always tickles me every time I think about her. And she's still with me today. When she first came to me, she wanted to write and she had been putting it off. In fact, she had started a book, and the book, I think, if I remember right, she's been working on it for about 10 years. She'd get it out, look at it, and end up putting it back. When she started working with me, and what I told her, let's do some small things, write about what happened today, write about how you're feeling, things that she could just share and write about easily.
Mhm.
Well, that got her back into wanting to finish this book. I'm so happy to say she finished that book and she did something that was kind of new with Amazon at the time. I had not searched into that, but she put it into something called Villa that they were doing.
Hmm.
And I got to tell you, within the first month, she made more money off of that book than I have mine. And the whole time they have been sitting there on Amazon. And
Wow.
I always like to share that story because that's my big success story. And I tease her about it because every time I think about when she told me when she got this check from Amazon and how much it was, I go, what? What? I still haven't caught up with her.
Sounds like you needed to go back and ask her for some coaching at that point.
Exactly. That's what I told her. I said, why are you asking me for help? At any rate, I'm really proud of her and I'm happy of her success. She is
Oh,
currently working on a second one
nice.
that actually is being edited. And once she gets through with that, that's going to be on Amazon too. But they don't have the Villa program. So we'll see how that works.
Wow, that is beautiful. That is so amazing when you're able to just draw that out of people and get them going on a path that they probably
Mhm.
didn't even think they could do.
Y- Yeah, it's those negatives that get in our heads that tell us that we can't do something. We don't have enough knowledge. We're not smart enough. I mean, they get in there. And for me, when they popped into my head, I added to it. I go, well, they're right. I never took any classes on writing. So what makes me think I could write? And talking about 200 pages? I don't think I have enough knowledge to write 200 pages. So I was adding on to what had been fed into me. And a
Uh-huh.
lot of us do that. We listen to someone putting, we already have our own negatives, okay? And then
Mhm.
someone comes along and they add on to that. And then we start piling on top of that. And before we know it, our dream is buried so deep
Oof.
that
Yes.
sometimes it's forgotten
Mhm.
completely. And what I do is try to help people bring that dream back. Now, it
Mhm.
may be that they've moved on from that dream. Maybe they have another dream that they want to work with, but at least they have an opportunity to make that decision.
Right.
That was my childhood dream. I've outgrown that. I'm ready for something else. I've got something else in mind I want to work on, but I don't know what to do. So
Mhm.
that's where I come along. I try to help people in that area. I was told by my coach, never use the word try. I
Mm.
help people in that area. And
Yes.
I'm happy to say I have success stories to know that I have helped people in that area.
Absolutely. Yes. Try is it doesn't even exist. Either do or do not. That's what Yoda said.
Absolutely.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm curious, was there an event in your life or something that happened to you that caused you to decide this was your path?
Yeah, that would be my Heavenly Father. I had
Ah.
these dreams of being a great speaker and writing books that people would just go in masses to buy. And like I said, those doubts got into me. you know, the speaking part I released pretty early because I got into Toastmasters. Well, I won't say
Mm.
early, but back in 1989, I joined Toastmasters, and that helped me with the speaking. And I found, yes, I really do love speaking. Every opportunity I get, I go speak. The writing took a little longer
Mhm.
because that was something I truly wanted to do, and I didn't want to fail at it. I didn't have the skills or any of the stuff that I felt I needed in order to be a success. So about this time, the computers, the personal computers had come out. They've been out for about 4 years. And I'm roaming the internet and I came across a creative writing class. And it was so inexpensive, I thought I should take it and see what I can do. And I'm so glad I did because it was my first, uh, became my first awareness that yes, I could write. Not
Good.
good, but I could write. But what led me into this area was my depression.
Mm.
I never thought of myself as having a depression because I always thought I'm the strong one. Everybody comes to me for help. I can't be having depressions.
Mhm.
I have those kind of things happening to me. And I didn't want to let anybody know.
Mm.
And it was starting to get worse and worse. And then I heard this voice that I say is the voice of God say, journal it. And that's what
Mm.
I did.
Wow.
And that led me to where I am today. That
Wow.
journaling got me my it got actually got me my second book because the first book was in that creative writing class. I was one of 10 people that was selected to be a part of an anthology. And I
Ah.
like to say I am an award-winning international author because the author, the person who published this book, was in Australia. And I
Ah.
was one of 10 out of 244 interests that was selected. So,
That's awesome. That's
however, the one that I wrote from my depression is the first book that I wrote with my own name on the cover.
ah,
And
mhm.
so that makes it kind of extra special, even over that other one, because,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. So, you gotta tell us the title of that book.
courage to live my dream,
Ah,
because
nice.
I was going through a terrible time.
Mhm.
I was not working because I had been downsized, and at
Wow.
my age, I couldn't. Nobody said that was why, but I suspected because of my age, that's why I wasn't not getting hired. It was easier
Mm,
to hire somebody younger and not have to pay them as much right off the bat.
right.
So I just
Right.
made it worse. And then knowing that I would have to ask my husband for money, and I was so used to having my own money.
Mm,
Ooh, I
mm,
didn't like that. He
mm.
didn't turn me down or anything like that. Thankfully, I had a pretty decent husband, and he didn't do things like that, but it just made me mad that I had to go to him for things.
Mhm.
Um, and there was some other things to add on to it. My husband was his there was some signs that his cancer might be coming back,
Right.
and I was still getting over the fact that my mom had passed away, and so it was just a lot of little things that had mounted up, and I didn't have anyone to talk to, not even my husband, because
Mm.
he also thought I was this strong person. I didn't need anyone. Everybody, including him, came
Oh.
to me.
Oh.
But
Ah,
journaling it was healing.
awesome.
It helped me to see what was happening with me, to unburden all of that stuff that I was holding in. Because if you stop and think about it, when we hold that stuff in, that's what starts the stress,
Mhm.
and other illnesses can lead to
Mhm.
heart attacks. There's a number of things that can come from you holding on to that stuff within you. You have to let it go in some manner. And
Yep.
talking is one of those ways of doing it. Since I didn't have anyone to talk to, writing was another good way for me to release it, because then I could look at it and see what my problem was.
Mm.
Of course,
Mm.
the first part of that writing was terrible because I did all of my whining and complaining, and oh my gosh, I call it my "oh woe is me" moments.
Oh, but you needed to do that. You know
I
you did.
needed to do that, and in the end, I saw what my problem was, and then I had to figure out how to get out of it.
Mm.
And
Mm.
that meant coming up with some ideas of what I could do to get out of the situation I was in. And I feel blessed because the ideas came to me and they worked for me, you know?
Wow.
So
Wow.
I turned that into a book.
I love it. It sounds like God continued to speak to you as you did your journaling.
I think he did because it was at that point, it was just me.
Mm.
Later on, a couple of years later, when COVID hit,
Oof.
and I thought I was doing great because I had been around a lot of people. I was a senior companion. And
Mm.
when COVID hit, they told us, all of us who were over 60 at the time, and I was in my 70s, told us we had to stay home
Ugh.
because it was too easy for us to get it. Well, I didn't have anything to do. And one thing led to another. I started my blogging, which was great. But right after Christmas in 2020, I got sick. I do not know if it was COVID. I did not go to the doctor or hospital. Since I was by myself, I decided that if I had it, I wasn't going to be giving it to anybody.
Mhm.
And if it was my time to go, I mean, I thank God for everything that He had done for me up
Mm.
until that point, because I did not want to leave Him without Him knowing that while did a lot of complaining, I was grateful for all those things He had done. I mean, He gave me a family. He'd given me four sons, and I had all these grandchildren and great grandchildren. And I'm thinking, I've been blessed. Even though I've complained, I've truly been blessed. And I wanted him to know that.
Wow.
But then I also reminded him that I had 120 years, and I'd like to keep my 120 years. So
She has a goal. I love it.
Yeah, and during that time that I was sick, the word journal came in my head again. And so when
Oh,
I got well, because I was out, I was really, really sick for about 3 weeks.
wow.
And then it took me probably another 3 weeks before I could walk to the bathroom without getting winded.
Mm, mm.
And all during that process, the word journal just kept messing with me. And I thought, well, maybe God's talking to me again. Maybe He wants me to do something with journaling. I thought I go, well, I've been asking Him what He wants me to do, and saying I don't know what my purpose is. So maybe He decided I would listen if He, I got sick, I'd pay attention.
I'm gonna close the window. We got puppies outside the window all of a sudden. Want to make sure they can hear you.
Well, I'm thankful our dogs are kind of on the quiet side right now. Anyway, I thought maybe he was talking to me, so I started studying journaling, and I realized that the journaling and the fact that he had people always coming to me for one thing after another, that maybe the two were combined. That maybe what my calling was supposed to be was to be there to support others, to help nurture them, to uplift them when they're fallen, and just get them back on track to where they're supposed to be. Now, I know it's not glamorous, it's not exciting, and we all want to, we want the world to notice who we are. But I guess he didn't have that in mind for me. So I didn't tell him, but I did say, okay, I give up. I take it. This is what you want me to do. So this is what I'll do. I'll help people, show them the way by journaling. And there is so much to journaling that can help you.
Wow. Well, but you also, I know that you went down an incredible path on TikTok. So tell everybody about how you help people through TikTok. I've not been on TikTok, but you have.
That was amazing. A friend of mine suggested I go there, and I kept saying, "No, that's for young people," because I had taken a look at it when it first came out, and
Mhm.
all I saw people skateboarding and doing crazy dancing and stuff. And I said, "That's for kids. It's not for people my age." And she said, "No, no, no. It's changed. People all ages are getting on there now." So she had me go on there uh, and do a video. And I said, I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. I said, wait a minute, let me go fix myself up because I was not looking my best, okay? And if you find that video, you'll go, whoa, what's that girl? And I said, no, 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 because you'll find an excuse not to do it. I want you to do this video right now. You're just going to talk for about a minute, no more than a minute. And I don't remember what I talked about, but I did the minute and she made me post it. I was surprised when I got all these people who, I don't remember now, but it was like 80 or some people. And I'm going, what? I don't get that kind of response on Facebook. And so she said, every day I want you to post something. It can be a minute or longer, however you feel. And so I started posting and I started getting people following me. And before I knew it, I had 100, no, I'm sorry, I'm saying that wrong. At 1,001 people following me. And TikTok sent a notice saying you can now go live.
Ooh.
And I'm going, ooh, what am I gonna do on live? And of course, my friend, when I told her, she goes, just go on that, talk for about 5 or 10 minutes about anything that you feel comfortable about. So I did it. I went on live and was supposed to only talk for that amount of time, and it ended up being 20 minutes. And I forget the number of people that showed up, but it was a high number. And I go, wow, all of these people are listening to me. And she said, well, they're coming and going, but the number is enough that it kept looking like it was a high number. Okay.
Mhm.
So that kind of excited me. And I thought maybe I could do this. She wanted me to do it every day at a certain time. Well, I couldn't commit to that because, we have all these things going on in the daytime.
Yep.
So I thought, okay, I'm going to try it at night
Mhm.
and see what happens. This way, if I mess up, there won't be too many people who around. Wrong. I was going to do a 15-minute talk, and I got on there, and people started asking questions. They wanted to know what age was I, and they saw my books behind me, and they wanted to know about the books. The big mistake was somebody asked me, "Could you read one of your stories to us?"
Oh my.
And that's what started me to reading on TikTok. Is because somebody asked that question. But
Wow.
it was interesting because I decided I had to set some boundaries. So I immediately let people know, okay, this is supposed to be a safe space, okay? If
Mhm.
you're having a problem and need to talk to me about it, I'm here. But there can't be any bad language, no vulgar talking, no judging people. Um, I forget what all else. Anybody that wants to speak, as long as they speak with respect, they're okay to do that. We show respect for one another. And the main thing is, I want you to learn how to love one another when you're here. I'm a Christian. I believe in God. I believe Jesus Christ was his son. And you're going to hear me referencing that. And at some point, I started reading the Bible, a chapter every night from the Bible,
Wow.
regardless of how many verses was in that chapter. I will read that chapter. And I always said a prayer, opening prayer, closing prayer. People would come on sometimes and go, Miss Parker, I'm sorry. Could you pray for me? I have blah, 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 blah happening, and I really need a prayer. And I could be in the middle of writing, and I would stop and I said, okay, we have someone who needs a prayer. So we're going to take a moment and pray for this individual, and then I'll get back to the story. And that's what I would do. So I have
Wow.
people coming on there talking about some of everything. One of the first young people that joined me, um, her handle, I'll call it, was Schmooze Girl. And she had just lost her mother in a car accident. And she was in a bad, bad place.
Mm.
And she became one of my faithful followers. And
Aw.
even today, well, up until I got shut off, she would come on. And even if she was at work, she says, I'm on break, so I only got a few minutes, but she would be there. And it was because she needed to talk. She needed to let out what was troubling her. And I didn't try to tell her how she had to behave or anything like that. I did try to smooth it for her to let her know I had lost my mom too, not in that type of situation. But I understood the loss of that parent.
Mm.
You know, your parents are going to leave you at
Yeah.
some point. But
Yes.
even knowing this, when they do, it's a terrible loss.
It is.
And then I shared with the group about losing my son and how I felt about that.
Mm. Mm.
And those things help make people come, and a lot of them stayed with me. Even if they missed a week, they come, oh, I'm so glad you're still here. So I have one guy who went into the military, and he would show up like after he did his basic training. He came to let me know he passed and he was going to be sent to Germany. And
Wow.
once a month, he would pop on there to say hi. So it was a great place to be. And it's amazing the question that young people ask, they want to know if tomorrow going to be here for them. What do they need to do? And um, how should they prepare for life out of high school and college and things like that. And I always made sure people knew, especially when they were asking emotional questions. I would make sure they understood every time. I am not a doctor. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I have no license behind my name. So any information I'm sharing with you is either from personal experience or from what I've learned from others who have gone through the same type of situation and
Yeah.
what they shared with me.
Mhm.
And they were accepting of that. And so, yeah, it was a good place. I believe I made a difference in a lot of people's lives.
Oh, yes. Oh,
And
yes. Oh, yes. You
I
might
am
not
just
have thought
sorry.
of it that way, but you had your own ministry going on there, dear. And I'm still holding the vision that you will find other platforms to continue that.
I will, because I love this so much. And it wasn't just that. They wanted to know about yesterday, what things were like when I was a kid. And
Mm.
I would share with them because I was born far enough back that I still remember seeing people riding in horses with in
Wow.
buggies with horses, and even seeing men riding down the street on their horses. So
Oh my
it was
goodness.
fun to share those kind of things. When we stayed with my grandfather, hey, we didn't have indoor plumbing. We we had an
Oh,
outhouse.
yes.
We used a chamber pot at night, and if you were responsible for emptying and cleaning.
Wow. Wow.
Oh my God.
Uh, we
Those ice
definitely
boxes where the guy would come around and sell blocks of ice to you.
amazing.
Oh,
Amazing. Well, our younger generations need what you are putting out there because there's so many of them that are not connected to, some of our senior wisdom keepers. And, they need that. They need that so much. I love the role that you were playing there. And it's sad that your account got hacked. It sounds like the enemy himself just said, no. But that doesn't mean you're not going to be seen in other places. You're going to be seen on YouTube with me. You're going to be seen on Facebook with me. And, maybe we'll start some new platforms out here getting generated for you. But I'm curious, do you have a big vision for where you want to go in the future other than living to 120?
Well, I will continue to work with people to help them live their dreams. Um,
Awesome.
I've
Awesome.
had I've had God allow me a lot of those little dreams that I had to taste them
Hmm.
and to recognize that it was okay for that moment, but they weren't the long haul for me. And I think he did that because he wanted me to help others to achieve their dreams.
Yes.
So he allowed me to taste mine and move on. Um, the big dream was the writing and the speaking, and I'm doing those things now. So he's
Awesome.
given me that as well. But
Awesome.
I believe my role is to just help others to arrive where they're supposed to be, and
Yes. Yes.
I'm happy doing that. I'm really happy doing that. So
Well,
it
that's
works.
amazing.
That's my thing, to keep doing that and just continue sharing yesterday's stories to young people, because I think they need to know that that was a real time that people went through those things for real. No.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Oh my goodness. Well, tell people, how can they get in touch with you?
The best way is to go to lawanaparker.com or over to my Facebook, which is also Lawana Parker. So
Okay.
those are the two best ways to get a hold to me. You can always leave me a DM message, or over on my website, you can actually reach out to me and leave your information and I'll reach back at you.
Awesome,
Mhm.
awesome. Sounds amazing. Do you have any final words of wisdom to wrap up our session here today?
Well, let's see. Words of wisdom. Um, well, there is something I was going to say. Let me bring it up here because I don't want to mess it up. It goes like, okay, come on here. Sometimes the smallest whisper becomes the turning point of a lifetime. So listen closely. Your breakthrough may begin with simply showing up.
Mm, I like that. Perfect, perfect. Awesome. Well, it has been a joy to have you with me here today, Luana, and I just see you helping more and more and more people. I think you've got a beautiful spirit. You've got a beautiful calling on you, and the fact that you're out here doing it in every way you can, totally support that vision for you hanging around up to at least 120, if not beyond.
Thank you. And thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of your show today. I've enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. And thank all our change makers for checking in here, because you never know who you're going to meet here in the Unity for Wellness and Peace Network. And definitely, we'll make sure we put your website in the comments under this on both YouTube and Facebook. So that people want to check out what you got going on and get connected with you, they'll be able to do that. So thank
Yeah.
you to all of our change makers. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next interview. Have a blessed day, everybody.